Hi everyone, I'm D'Angela. Some of you may know me as D. I just wanted to make this channel to document my journey dealing with DCIS. So we're going to call this the Bedroom Diaries Journey with me as I travel through the DCIS breast cancer journey. Before we get started, please click that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you want to keep up to date on my journey and when I post new items, just click on the post notifications as well. That way you'll be first to know when there's a video up. Okay, so DCIS, I know a lot of people are wondering, like, what is that? So the name that they consider that is ductal carcinoma in situ. It's an early stage of breast cancer. In my situation, my cancer wasn't one that you could detect just by physical examination, because every year I went and I did my physical examinations and everything looked good. So mine came about when I turned 40 this year and I had to go in for my yearly. So in my yearly, my doctor was like, okay, I'm going to send you a request to do your mammogram. And of course, everyone is always like, oh, the dreaded mammogram. I know that hurts, so I'm not going to do that. So she said, I'm going to call the request in. Someone should call you in about a day or two. So I waited for that. A week went by, no one called, and life took over and I forgot about it. So maybe 2 weeks later, around the end of May, I got a call to set the appointment up. So I went ahead and I set the appointment up and I went in for the examination, and it was not at all what anyone says it's going to be like. All the horror stories and nightmares that I heard, it was the complete opposite. So I went and did that. Everything was fine. They said, okay, you should get your results. Your primary care doctor is going to call you, and I just went on. So was the next day they called and said, we need to get you in again. We didn't get good pictures on your left side. So I was like, okay, go ahead and schedule the appointment. It's right down the street from work. I could just leave on lunch and go take care of it. So I went ahead and did that, and it was like, okay, well, while you're in here, we're going to go ahead and do the mammogram again, and we may follow it up with an ultrasound. At that point, I was thinking, oh heck, an ultrasound too? Like, what's going on? So I went ahead and did the mammogram, stayed for the ultrasound, did the ultrasound, and the doctor was like, okay, we see some small calcifications on your left breast. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and schedule you for a biopsy. And I'm like, okay, I've did biopsies before, so it's a piece of cake. So they went ahead and scheduled the biopsy. I did that a week later. This was a totally different type of biopsy that I was used to. This biopsy, I'll put some pictures up so you guys can see how it looks too. To say I was scared, I'm the person that does not like to even get a regular type of shot. So this, to me, was invasive. Basically, 2 large needles drilling down. And yeah, you'll see right here. It was a little scary for me, but I will say it wasn't painful because they give you a lot of, they numb it up real good, give you some pain medicine. Okay, fast forward to that. They were like, okay, the doctor should be calling you within 2 days to give you the results. I was like, okay, went on about my day, tried not to think too much about it to drive myself crazy. The very next day I was at work and the mammogram office called me. I was expecting the doctor to call, but they called. And she was like, okay, we have your results. We just want to let you know that you are positive for what they said, the DCIS breast cancer. The next thing we need you to do is set up an appointment with your doctor so she can get you into a cancer surgeon. And that was pretty much all they really gave me. So the only thing at that time that went through my mind is cancer and death sentence. because most of the time when you hear cancer, that's what you think. And I was like, oh Lord, what just happened? Like, most of us think, okay, I'm turning 40, it's time to do the mammogram. I'm not going to do it because, of course, it's like, it's always something. And for me, I'm just like, oh, it's going to be me that something always happens to. And sure enough, it's like a good and a bad. It's kind of like, it's good, I found out early. It's bad because I'm like, go do the mammogram. And what do you know? Something happened. Yeah. So, to say the least, finding that out at work, I definitely had to just take off the rest of the day because my mind was just going all over the place. It definitely was not thinking about any type of numbers or anything. The only thing that kept going through my mind is cancer, I'm about to die, and how am I going to tell my kids? Not even about how I'm going to tell my mom or my sister, but how in the world am I going to tell my kids that I have cancer? So from there, I left work and I called my mom and I asked my mom if she was home, and she said yeah, and actually went straight to my mom's house. Okay, so I get to my mom's house and I tell her about the diagnosis and everything, and by that time, I had already called my doctor's office and set up an appointment, and the doctor was like, yes, we can get you in tomorrow. So I was glad that they were able to get me in like soon, because everything was just going through my mind. So I get to my mom's house, I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, oh gosh. And I was like, yes, Mom. And she was like, I was like, but let's not panic until we get all of the information that we need. And then I told my mom, I said, okay, I'm going to set up a meeting to talk to the kids this weekend. I think when I found this out, it was like a Wednesday. So I had my appointment with my doctor on Thursday. So I was planning on talking to the kids about it on the weekend. I didn't want to talk to them during the week. Because I didn't want my oldest, because she like overly thinks, and I didn't want her to be at work thinking about me. So I said, I'm just going to talk to them this weekend. That way she'll have the whole weekend to process it. And it was going into the summer. So my little one, well, she ain't little no more. She high school. School wasn't in for her at that point. So, she was good. It was the oldest that I was concerned about, because she seems to, compartmentalize stuff more. So I told my mom, I said, I know Ariana going to call you, but don't say nothing to her. I had already called Ariana and said, hey, come to the house this weekend. We need to sit down as a family and talk. Which I probably shouldn't have did that either, because at that point, all the way until the weekend, she was calling my mom, trying to figure out. She was like, I know something's going on with my mom. Just tell me. And my mom, thank God, didn't tell her, even though she can't hold water. So finally the weekend came. I told the kids, everybody was okay. The kids, let's say the girls, they cried. I hadn't told my son yet. I didn't tell him till a little ways down. But I did tell the girls. The only thing they really said at that point was, the youngest was like, well, I guess I'm just not going to go to school. And I was like, yeah, you're going to go to school, ma'am. You're still, life is still going to go on. You're still going to school. The oldest was just like, okay, I guess I'm moving back home because I'm going to take care of you. And I was like, no. That was the main thing I didn't want to happen, is for everybody's life to stop just because of my diagnosis. I still wanted to be normal. I still wanted to be treated normal. I wanted everything to just, still be normal, because at this point, everything was still new. I hadn't got all the information that I needed. Because at this point, the next stage was to talk to talk to my primary care provider first. See what she says based on the results that we got. And then from there, set up whatever was needed for, you know, the cancer surgeon or the doctor or whatever was next. But at that point, this is, you know, just the beginning stages. So for me, just to keep everything in sync, I just kept myself busy. For me, the best thing for me to do is to stay busy so I don't think about it. Because if I'm not busy and I think about it, that's when your mind starts to go just all over the place and depression kicks in. And for me, that's not how I wanted to approach this situation whatsoever. So for me, I just kept busy. It was the summertime, so as far as sports and things, a lot of that for my girls wasn't going on. Ariana had just started work, so I had things to keep me busy with work and my grandbaby and studying. So I just put all of my energy into those things, and that is what really helped me. And just knowing that I had the support of my family, because it was a lot. Yeah, that was a lot to take in. So I will leave that with you guys to digest, and I will give you more information on the results from the surgeon, the additional testing and things I have to do, because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in for anyone. But I do want to thank you all for tuning in with me tonight on the Bedroom Diaries of my cancer diagnosis with DCIS, and stay tuned for the next episode.